doing this, but a 6-mile regional library, community voices. I am interviewing Sean Cook. It is February 24th, Saturday, 2018, and please do not give us any prior information. Okay, so what branch of service were you in?
I was in the United States Navy.
Did you enlist?
Yes, I did.
Why did you pick this branch?
Because I wanted to travel the world.
Was your family in the military?
My grandpa, both of my grandparents, and I had some uncles that were, but my dad was not. It was great uncles and grandpas.
How old were you? How old were you when you went into the Navy?
I was 17.
How long did you serve?
Active 10 years, total 18 years.
What was your rank?
I was a second class petty officer, which is an E5.
Did you serve in a war?
Yes, I did.
Which one?
Operation Afghanistan, Iraq, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Noble Eagle, but particularly I served in Iraq.
What's your grade? Did you see fighting?
No.
What was your job in the service?
On the ship, I was what's called the fire controlman, and my responsibility was the weapon systems that defended the ship and the radar systems that saw the things that came at the ship. When I was deployed to Iraq, I was in charge of customs and border control enforcement for anything coming out of the country to America.
Okay, what was it like when you came home?
It was great to come home. It was a great feeling.
Did you receive support from any organizations to help you after being in a war?
I used the St. Louis Veterans Administration Hospital.
How do you feel about players kneeling during national anthem?
That's their free speech right. As long as they're respectful of those around them, they have a right given to them by the First Amendment to do so.
Do you feel everyone should get to serve in the military?
As long as they meet the qualifications, because military service is hard and requires some things that some people may not have, and that's okay. And that's okay. There's other things that they can do, but not everyone should get to serve just because that they're citizens.
Do you still participate in veterans organizations?
Not currently.
Do you still have your uniform?
Yes, I do.
Did you receive Army, any medals?
Yes, I did. I received the Iraq Campaign Medal, National Defense, Battle E, Deployment, Global War on Terrorism, Marksman medals. But my most proud one was my Army Achievement Medal because I was a sailor and I got an Army medal.
When were you born?
1981.
How many brothers or sisters do you have?
I have one brother and one sister.
What are their ages?
My little brother is 33 and my baby sister is 30.
And what other places have you lived besides here?
I lived when I was in kindergarten to second grade in Jackson and Brandon, Mississippi, and then when I was in the Navy, I lived in Norfolk, Virginia.
What are your favorite activities?
I like to play guitar. I like to read. I like to read really intelligent stuff like about quantum physics and psychology. I like to play video games. I like to coach, volunteer, all kinds of things.
What sport do you coach?
I coach basketball and football, and sometimes soccer.
What are your favorite
Granite City.
Please explain.
It's my hometown. I grew up here. Did a lot of things here. Got a lot of history here. We have a bad reputation, but this is a good town with good people. And when you leave your hometown, your hometown never leaves you. So you come back, and your hometown's your hometown. And that's why I love Granite City.
What is the accomplishment that you are proudest of in your life?
I have 3 well-mannered and intelligent young children, and that's my best accomplishment. Some of you probably know them.
Who are your parents?
My mother's name is Christine, and my dad's name is Victor.
What were their occupations?
My mother is a medical receptionist, and my dad is in hydraulic sales.
So I know you were just talking about this way back, but you said you went to Vietnam.
No, I went to Iraq.
Iraq. How did you see pretty things, or was it just war?
There's beauty everywhere as long as you can look for it. If you're not looking for it, you'll never find it. But even over there, there's beauty. So when you think about Iraq, you think that it's just this big war zone. But there's people there just like us. They may not have the things we do, but there's dads and moms that all they want to do is see their kids eat and see their kids do better than them. And there's a lot more of that over there than what you see on TV with war. There's war, and it's not pretty. But there's so many beautiful things. The desert at night is cold, and the stars are everywhere, and there's palm trees everywhere, and you think it's all sand, but there's lots of grass and bushes and lush greenery, and there's beauty. But I will tell you, you can find beauty in any situation. It's all about how you perceive it and what you choose to perceive.
How did you adapt to military life?
Well, you find out that if you do what you're told and you show up on time, you've won half the battle. And the other half is doing it right and making sure your uniform's squared away. If you can do those things, you can adapt. And it's all about in your mindset, too. There's a space between stimulus and response where you get to choose what your response is. And any time that you're stimulated, you can choose your response. And that it helps you become successful if you choose to make the positive response.
Did you receive specialized training?
I did, on weapon systems and radars. Every military person receives specialized training in their own right. Everybody in the Navy is a sailor, but when you become a sailor, then you get a job. Just like here, so if you went to work at McDonald's, you would be a fry cook or a cashier. It's just said that's specialized training. So every member of the military got specialized training. Mine was in weapons and radars.
Where were you when the war ended?
War is not over. We still are conducting operations, but I came home from the war in Norfolk, and I came home from here in March of 2010.
How did you return?
I flew from Kuwait to Scotland, and from Scotland to Norfolk, Virginia, and then from Norfolk I flew to St. Louis.
How long was that?
I think Kuwait to Scotland was 15 hours, and at that time my shoulders were measuring 54 inches, and they sat me right in the middle of a bunch of other guys with 54-inch shoulders. This was the whole flight home, because they don't pay for first class. But it was fun. Like I said, you can find fun in anything if you're looking for it.
How were you received by your family and your community?
Very well. When I came home, Mitchell Fire Department set up a big flag for me. Mitchell Schools let me surprise my kids at school. Holy Family Daycare let me surprise my son, and it was a good time. And the high school had a sign, had my name on the sign welcoming me home. So I was received very well by my family and the community.
How did you adapt to military life? How did you adjust to civilian life?
That's an ongoing process, but the same way I adjusted to military life. I did what I was supposed to do. I showed up on time, and I treated people right, and I paid my bills and went to work. And that's basically the basics of it.
What is your occupation?
Currently, I'm a systems analyst for Boeing, so I take blueprints from engineering on F-15 aircraft and I translate them into a way that someone can read them to maintain the aircraft.
Have you remained in contact with or reunited with fellow veterans?
All the time. I stay in contact with all my fellow vets. It's better than best friends when you serve with someone. So you always, you can go months without talking to them and pick up like you didn't miss a day. So I stay in contact with many of the people I served with.
Um, how did your wartime experiences affect your life?
They gave me better appreciation for what I had and for the people in my community and to see the best thing that I ever did was when I came home I saw kids come out of school and they didn't care about anything except what they were going to eat when they got home, and that was something that I enjoyed. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
How did your wartime experiences affect your life?
It gives you great appreciation for things. There are some challenges that go along with that for adjusting and experiencing war, but you get a greater appreciation and a love for your fellow man.
What is your favorite movie?
Whew, that's a tough one. It's a three-way tie between Alexander, Braveheart, and Goon.
If you served abroad, what are some memories you have of that experience?
I got to live in Balad, Iraq for almost a year, and that was once you get in the groove of the schedule, every day runs together, and next thing you know, it's like, has 3 months passed? Um, Other than that, it's just like anywhere. And once you get used to it, it's just like being at home, going to school, like you guys do. You go to school, you go home, you go to your sports, or if you have a job, a job. It's the same thing once you get used to your surroundings. I lived in a containerized housing unit. I mean, but once you get used to it, it's just like living at your house.
If you were on the front lines, what combat action did you witness?
I wasn't on the front lines, but I was in a base that was nicknamed Mortaritaville, and we were mortared 200 times during my tenure there. That I experienced that, but I never got to do any frontline combat.
What is a mortar?
It's a bomb that they shoot out of. They make these tubes. So what they do is they'll take a metal tube and they'll weld it to the back of their truck, and they'll drop a little bomb, thump, and it shoots up like a cannon. Think of a cannon, and they drive in a truck and it shoots up and it hits the base.
If you saw combat, how did you feel when witnessing casualties and destruction?
I've witnessed casualties and destruction before, and you don't feel. You act because you train so much, and you train. It's just like practicing. When you play a sport or you play an instrument or you do this, you practice, 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 practice. And so when you do this, that's when the practice kicks in, and you don't have to think. And that's what happens. Is you don't think, you just do what you've practiced, and you do it right, and you get it done, and you help the people, you fix the problem, and you go on to your next day.
What kinds of friendships and camaraderie did you form while serving?
You become family with the people you serve with. You love the people you serve with because those are the people that have seen you in the moments that very few people see you in. So you develop a certain love and kinship with the people that you serve with. So everyone I served with, I developed a camaraderie and friendship with that lasts forever. That anytime if they were in the area that they needed somewhere to stay, I wouldn't even ask any questions because there's something different when you serve with someone that you get. It's like I said, better than best friends.
How did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
When my first cruise, we had letters and we had payphones that you only had so much time to use. My second cruise, we had email and internet. And when I was in Iraq, I actually had Skype, so I could Skype home. And when my kids were for their birthdays or Halloween or Christmas or Thanksgiving, I could Skype. and talk to them live, and that's how we talked with Skype. And I had a phone card too.
What did you do for recreation or when you were off duty?
Read a lot of books, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of books. I didn't play video games over there. I could have; they're available, but I chose to read lots of books and to educate myself on things I didn't understand, because there aren't many places you can go. So you can choose to do a few things. You can play video games, or you can find a way to make yourself better in some capacity, and that's what I did. I read, I worked out, I volunteered, and slept when I could. A few times, but just like anything you guys probably do, recreation, you go out and hang out with your friends. You can hang out with your friends there. You can bevy of things. Mostly I read. I learned about quantum mechanics and 8-circuit models of psychology and things like that. It was awesome.
What were your favorite books?
Favorite book was, well, there's a couple of them. I liked reading the Bella Gallico, which is Julius Caesar, if I pronounced it right. I also liked reading, there was a lady named Robin Hobb who wrote a book called Assassin's Apprentice that I got on my Kindle over there, which I could because we had internet, and I read that whole series. I read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, all kinds of encyclopedic type stuff. But my favorite thing had to be those two things, Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice and the Bella Gallico by Julius Caesar, because that was how he chronicled his conquest of Gaul.
What have you done since separating from the military? How did you adapt to military life, including the physical regiments, barracks, food, and so forth?
Again, it's your mind. So if you show up on time, if you do what you're told, if you know what you're doing, and you keep your uniform squared away, everything falls in line. If you know you have to do 30 push-ups for a test, and you have 6 months to do it, then you work to get 30 push-ups for that test, because you know that's your job. That's what the taxpayers are paying you to do. So you adapt by adjusting your mindset to be flexible. Bruce Lee said it: "Be like water."
Now, were you like? No, I know you enlisted, but like, were you drafted to go into the war?
No, they ended the draft, I think, in the 70s. So now it's what's called an all-volunteer service. So every citizen has the choice to serve or not. And so I chose to enlist.
Who was like the main person you listened to?
My grandpa and myself, because I knew that I grew up and my family wasn't rich, so I didn't have my college paid for. I did not have a scholarship, and I knew that I could get all that I needed in the Navy. Right now, I can go to any school that's publicly funded in Illinois in college for free. I got the GI Bill. I have 2 3/4 bachelor's degrees that I didn't pay any money for because of my military service. So most of it was my grandpa, but it was me as well, because I knew that I needed to do something, and that I wouldn't have much as great an opportunity here as I would if I gave some time to the military and came back and utilized these services that our state provides.
Like, at what age did you think you knew that you wanted to go into the military?
I think I was 16 when I started really thinking about it, but about 16 and a half is when I really decided that I knew that was what was going to be for me.
Did I ask you if you served abroad? What are the memories you have of that experience?
Let's see. My first underway was on the USS Enterprise in 2000, and I was so the ship is like this, and this is the starboard, this is the port, or port starboard, and I was up here on the forward port, and I was using what's called sound-powered telephones. We were going to shoot our gun for a test, and I saw these wild dolphins, and there was about 20 or 30 of them, and they were swimming. And I'm like, oh, that's really neat. And we got about, here's the dolphins, here's our ship, and they started shooting up out of the water. That was a pretty cool experience seeing the wildlife. My second cruise, it was pretty just cruising, going to see like Portugal and Greece and France and Spain and Dubai and Bahrain, and stopping there and experiencing those cultures and seeing that people aren't much different when you break them all down. We basically all want the same thing, and that's to be safe, happy, and healthy. And then in Iraq, I had a lot of fun with, they hire these people, they call them third country nationals, and most of them are from India. And I got to have a lot of fun with them, got to have a lot of jokes, and you know, since we had Skype, I got to see my kids in their Halloween costumes and got to watch everybody eat turkey legs and, you know, stuff like that. But my best memories are pretty mundane. They're nothing like exciting. It's just being with people and seeing the real people when they come out and having conversations about things and planning your future.
Were you ever caught in like a really, really bad storm while you were?
We went through a couple hurricanes. It was fun. On the back of the ship, you could see nothing but air, nothing but ocean. For about 2 hours we went through that. And our Navy ships, we go right through them most of the time if they're not too strong, because our ships are designed to be in heavy weather. But I was on an aircraft carrier, and that was really fun, because when those things move, that's like getting a big old boat to move, and it rocks good. But the advantage of carriers is in the calm waters, it rocks you really slow, so you rock right to sleep. But no, I've been through a couple storms. They're fun. And then we had a bunch of dust storms in Iraq where my buddy, so we had to walk from about here to the basketball court over there for showers, and my buddy came by and he had just got out of the shower and he was covered in dust because we had a dust storm.
At first, did you, was it like kind of like sickening the first time like you went through a hurricane that you already?
I was seasick a little bit. Everybody gets seasick a little bit, but they just put you in what's called the center line of the ship, so when it rocks, you're basically in the center of that, so you're not feeling it as much. It gave me a bunch of crackers and told me to suck it up and come back when I wasn't sick anymore, because we were working on the gun at the same time too.
My sister's friend, he always talks about things like how like he is in the Navy, but like he has like he's not always on the boat.
Right.
Like he's still like drafted where he has to be in one other. Well, not drafted, but you know like there. So,
Deployed?
Like, they need him.
Yes, so if you're on a ship, you're not always supposed to have to be on the ship. Some of us live on the ship. When you're an E4 and below, most of the time you live in the berthing, which is where everybody lives. There's usually 20 to 80 people. Once you get to a different rank or you get married, you get what's called a basic allowance for housing, and you can live off of base. But you always have to be what's called deployable. So if something happens and they need to launch the carrier, you need to be close enough to get there and go, because that's your number one job, is to defend the United States. And if they need, or to bring aid to other countries, that's another mission of the Navy, is we bring aid to places like if they had the earthquake in Haiti, we dropped food and water and medical. Houston, Puerto Rico, we bring those things out. We have what's called the HMS Comfort, which is a medical ship, and we take people and we help them with their medical problems in poor countries that may or may not have access to doctors. So you have to be close enough to deploy or live on the ship and be able to deploy at a moment's notice.
What's like the worst thing about not still being in the military?
It's believe it or not, it's easier in the military because you know where you're supposed to be. You have to be there. You're told what to do. Everything's in a box, and that's the one thing I miss, is how it was even easier to me in Iraq once I figured out the schedule. So that's what I miss and that and the camaraderie of being there for one mission and everybody. It doesn't matter what you look like or how much money you have because everybody pretty much makes the same money and everybody looks the same in their uniform. It's about the mission, and that's what I miss the most and wish I was still in. Is that nobody cared what you looked like, who you prayed to, who you loved. It was we got to get the job done.
Did you feel like everyone was your brother or sister on the
Even if I did not know them, even if I did not know them, they were my brother or my sister, and I would gladly lay down my life for them or and any civilian while I was in the military.
what was the best country you have been to?
I liked Rhodes, Greece. Um, they have a very exciting night scene, and that's where we'll leave that. Rhodes, Greece was fun. I liked every country I went to. I went to Scotland once, and I went to England, and every country has its own unique vibe. So I don't know if I really had a favorite, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Greece. I loved Greece. Italy was fun. France was fun. Spain was fun. Been to the Azores. Those were okay. But outside of all the, like I said, outside of all the specific culture there, I mean, you'll find if you go to these places and actually get to know the people that they all share the same pretty much base values that we all do. And that's what's the coolest thing and most interesting thing to me is to see that no matter what your culture is, at the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy, healthy, and safe.
Um, were, were there a lot of women with you?
Yes, and they worked hard and they were great sailors.
When someone like sees that you were in the military and say thank you for your service, how does that make you?
I appreciate the gesture, but it makes me feel nervous, not uncomfortable, but nervous because I don't think I did anything special. So I appreciate the gesture, but I mean, I don't think I did anything special that anybody else wouldn't do if they were asked to do it. So I appreciate it, but it just it it's good.
So you um did you have to eat like some people say like there's like food strength meals, like did you have to eat those things?
Meals ready to eat? They're good too. They have heaters and Skittles, and I mean, they tasted good to me. We had a bunch of MREs. Used to eat them all the time. But we also had normal food too. We used to get steak and lobster and Mongolian barbecue, and food isn't bad. You could get up on the ship in the morning and get you an omelet, which was cool.
Um, were there like a lot of captains on the boat?
Well, the Navy, there's one captain. There's one captain of the ship of the Navy, and the captain is an 06. So you have ensign, or let's see, ensign, lieutenant junior grade, lieutenant commander, commander, captain. So there was really only one captain. I've seen a lot of what's called colonels as well, which are the same thing but different for different branches of service as captains. But there was one captain of the boat on any ship that I was on. And that's what's called the commanding officer.
Um, were there any like lockdowns on the boat? Like, did you have like drills or?
We had one time I was brushing my teeth and I was in my flip-flops and I had to run across the ship to get the keys because they thought someone was coming to attack us, but it was just someone in a sightseeing Cessna. We used to do these things called Mop Drills. They're basically in case biological or chemical warfare is conducted on our ship, you get into this gas mask and your suit, and you train for that. We're always training for what's called general quarters, which is what you go to in a combat situation. We had one guy in the Gulf after 9/11 that almost got shot down. That was one of our guys that was coming at us the same way. But other than that, I mean, outside of mortar attacks, you drill all the time, so there's nothing really specific that really would stand out.
Would there be anything that you would really want to tell someone that it wasn't an ordinary question that someone would first ask?
Yes, what I would tell all of you children is that it does not matter what you grew up in. A broken home and we were poor. And now I've done great things. The military is an avenue, a great avenue for any child to consider. It's scary, but it was scary for all of us. When you do it, and you get the sense of pride of service, and you can come back and you can use, especially here for our kids in Granite City, you can use the Illinois Veterans Grant and your GI Bill, and you get paid to go to college, and you can put on your resume that experience. I would just tell all children to consider the military, whether it's the Coast Guard, the Air Force, the Army, the Marines, or the Navy. They're all great branches of service that you can find something to fit your personality in, and you can excel, man or woman. And that's the key thing. It don't matter if you're a girl or not anymore. You can do whatever you want. And I would suggest that if you want to change your situation, that the military is your best avenue.
Did you have anything you wanted to do before the Navy?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a rock and roll star. I didn't really have anything else I wanted to do. I did all my school stuff, but I didn't have a set thing, and that was another reason I joined, so I could possibly decide later what I wanted to do while I was serving and getting paid to do it. But no, I would suggest any person coming out of school consider the military. It's scary, but to me, it's the best move I ever made.
So, was there any things you had to how do I say this, come at somebody because they were going to kill your people or anything like that?
No, I never had to experience that. Luckily, a lot of people do, but I never had to experience that in my career.
Were you injured so badly that you had to go to the medical center?
Sometimes, but I hurt my back a couple times, hurt my legs, got sick, got the flu, but crushed my finger in the teeth of a gun gear, pushed my fingernail through my finger, had to go for that. But mostly just back injuries and leg and shoulder injuries.
So you weren't allowed to do anything when you had the flu because...
We had the swine flu real bad up there too. That's when the swine flu was bad. So we all had to get swine flu shots, and actually some people had to be quarantined in tents because this flu was so bad they didn't want people to get it. So we'd have to visit our shipmates. We'd have to put the masks on and go see them because they were in about this big of a tent. That's where they had to live until they were cured of the flu.
Well, we have run out of time, so this makes you feel weird thanking you.
Oh no, it's okay. I appreciate it. Before you guys quit, do you guys have any questions for me that aren't on the script that you thought about while I was talking? Go ahead.
Was there a lot of fighting in Iraq?
What are you talking about, between us or between us and the Iraqis? There was, but it tapered off. But a lot of the things we did is we'd go out and see kids like you and show them how to use a toothbrush, or give them a soccer ball and show them soccer or football, or just talk to them and show them, a different side of things from people that didn't look like them. But there was a fighting, but it's not all fighting. There's, like I told you earlier, there's people just like you guys, just like your moms and dads out there just working, and they're doing their own thing, having fun in their own way, and their parents just want to see their kids do better than them. So that's a lot of it. That's the big reality of it. What you see on TV is all the action, but it's not like that all the time.
Did you learn new languages?
I was working on Irish, which is called Gaelic, and a little bit of Arabic. But then when I left, I quit doing that stuff. I did actually. I was an honorary Filipino, and I spoke Tagalog for a little bit over there. I was the only American at the Filipino barbecue in Iraq, which I'm pretty proud of.
Um, is there anything that you want to say before we have to go?
Yes, you guys are doing. This is good, you guys. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope to see you guys maybe in the future coming home from your deployments. Best of luck to all three of you. Good job.
Okay. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.